Hello and welcome. You're watching Business Today TV. I'm Sakshi Patra and this is Market Today, a show where we'll help you understand all the latest cues from the D-Street, starting from the benchmark index moves, moving on to the sectoral indices and all the stocks that are buzzing the most in trade. Also, after the Q4 earnings, which are the stocks that you should keep on your top radar and where are analysts turning bullish? We'll discuss with an expert today. But first up, a quick check on how the markets are doing at this point in time. Well, remember, yesterday was a weak session in the market and that sentiment continues to be continuing even today. In fact, there's a 128 point of a cut on the Nifty. It slipped below the 18,200 mark. The Sensex also down by 0.7% and down by 450 odd points and trading at 61,469 as we speak. Let's look at the broader markets. Cut of almost similar, half odd percent in the mid-cap 100 index today. 184 points of a cut, but the small caps are a saving grace today. 0.2% uptick in an otherwise weaker market in today's trading session. Let's also look at some of the other sectors that are actually moving in trade today. Nifty Bank, that's clearly the index that is creating a lot of, somehow kind of a pressure on the markets, a selling pressure on the markets. 0.8% of a decline for this one. 43,553, the level for the Nifty Bank currently. The FMCG stocks also continue to be in a lackluster zone. About 0.1% of a fall can actually be spotted on that one as well. Apart from this, you're also seeing the IT index, the realty indices as the top sectoral losers. 1.3% decline for the IT index. Realty stocks also falling a lot. It's the auto space that is absolutely flat, showing some kind of an uptick in an otherwise weaker market in today's trading session. Talking about the top losers in trade today, you can see a lot of banking names right there. Kotak Mahindra Bank, for example, and apart from that, IT names like Infosys, TCS, HCL Technologies, really creating that pressure on the markets. Apollo Hospitals down in trade as well. What's, however, still continuing to be in an upward trajectory in terms of the top Nifty 50 gainers today are stocks from the auto basket like Moto M&M, from the oil and gas space like BPCL, Energy Basket Coal India, IndusInd Bank being an outlier from the banking space and up by 0.8% or so in the markets today. But time to welcome our guest on the show. Nilesh Jain joins in from Centrum Broking. He's the AVP Research at Derivatives and Technicals for the broking company. Thank you so much, Nilesh, for joining us on the show. Always a pleasure having you with us. Well, first up, your own thoughts. How are you reading into the current fall in the market? We saw the market drifting lower yesterday and the momentum seems to be drifting even lower in today's trading session. We are breaking below the crucial zones as well. 18,200 was being seen as the recent support level. So now we've reached that also on the lower side. Are we going to see this fall continuing? What is the technical structure looking like for the markets?
Very good afternoon to you, Sakshi. We first need to look at the overall trend of the market, which is looking on a positive side, given the fact that we have already seen a good run up from 17,000 to almost 18,400. Now, in last two trading sessions, what we are witnessing is merely a profit booking, and I would say a healthy correction. And it may extend further towards 18,100 to 18,000. If you look at Nifty index on a daily time frame, it is trading well above their all long-term and short-term moving averages. So that itself shows that we are in a very much bull market. And the immediate support, if you look at of a 21-day moving average, which is a short-term moving average, that is coming around somewhere around 18,000. So that will be the first level of support where Nifty should find some sort of support and we might see a reversal. In last two trading session, the Nifty no doubt has formed a bearish candle. Although given the fact that the markets were slightly on a over territory, and we have also seen buying figure from FIIs in last 30 to 14 straight trading session. So that buying spree propelled the market on the higher side. So overall, the sentiment is still on a positive side. Any decline could be a good opportunity as long as Nifty trades above 18,000. Bank Nifty, on the other hand, looks slightly on a stronger note, and 43,000 is psychological support. Recently, it has almost kissed its previous all-time high mark of 44,150, and that is the next major hurdle that is likely to be tested going forward. So any decline will provide a good opportunity. Stick to the stock-specific action, sector rotation we might see going forward. So it's a good market to be into the stocks.
Okay, got that. A whole host of focus is all on the earnings front as well. So let me just kickstart by asking you some questions as far as some of the recent earnings have come about and what should investor strategy be on those stocks as well. And then we will come to find out, in this kind of a market, where exactly should investors find opportunities. First up, on the numbers of Bharti Airtel, now very, solid performance as far as the profits are concerned as well. Of course, some one-time exceptional gains have also supported the numbers this time around, but the ARPU has improved and several other factors have also led to consolidated PAT surging 50% this time around, beating estimates to a large extent. Bharti Airtel has also declared a dividend this time around as well. Your own thoughts on Bharti Airtel, the kind of numbers that have come about, and what should investor strategy be, especially when today is the telecom day as well, and we are celebrating, this theme too. So let's start off with this telecom major.
Absolutely. See, if you look at Bharti Airtel, the major structure has continues to remain on a positive side. Although in last 5 to 6 months, what has happened is that it has gone into some sort of consolidation, and this kind of consolidation basically gives you an opportunity to accumulate this particular counter. And going forward, we are likely to witness a fresh all-time high levels in Bharti Airtel. And the major structure, as I mentioned, is continues to remain on a positive side. The immediate and I would say a major support for the Bharti Airtel is placed at 760, and post numbers, the stock is sustaining well above 780 mark. So given this kind of scenarios, I think it's a good opportunity to accumulate this particular counter. Target could be on the higher side near about 860, and post then it may test the levels of 950.
Right. Right. Okay. Nilesh, also help us understand your own thoughts on Bank of Baroda as well on the Q4 earnings. Now, here also profit zoomed 168% on a year-on-year basis to 4775 crores, and the dividend was also declared at 5.5 rupees per share. Your thoughts? We do know that the PSU banking space has already been in a sweet spot, and this time the earnings have definitely supported the move too. So, Bank of Baroda, how would you really look at the stock post the earnings?
If I tell you about PSE banking space, we are very much positive on three specific counters: State Bank of India, Bank of Baroda, and Canara Bank. So out of these, Bank of Baroda has already come out with a strong set of numbers. We have seen decline in the NPAs, and profit has also surged. And overall, Nifty PSU banking space has outperformed recently. And as far as Bank of Baroda is concerned, the structure looks very much on a positive side. It has an immediate support of 174. The upside is very much open for 192 and 200 sort of levels on the higher side. Any decline could provide a good opportunity to accumulate this particular counter from a slightly medium to long term perspective. And within this space, I think State Bank of India, which is about to come out with the numbers, and the structure looks very much positive. And any decline on State Bank of India as well could provide a good opportunity for the upside target of 600 to 620.
Got that as well. Nilesh, let's also focus on some breaking news that's coming in. We do know that this case has been with the Supreme Court, the Adani Hindenburg case with the Supreme Court for about a few days. We've been constantly looking at, Supreme Court, looking at various and hearing out various pleas on this matter. One was the SEBI plea, where SEBI had asked for an extension of 6 months to be able to complete the probe, in this matter. Now, we've been hearing the CJI, the Chief Justice of India, talking about how 6 months of an extension is too much a time for them to be given at this point in time. Now, fresh news coming out from the Supreme Court. We do hear that SEBI has been granted time till 14th of August 2023 to complete the investigation. That actually means just about 3 months for now, and not 6 months is what I can decipher. As of now, they've not been given the extension of 6 months. They need to complete the probe in 3 months. That's the biggest news that has come out right there. We are also looking at how the CJI in this case has mentioned in his comments today, when we talk about the kind of hearing that has gone about, that we are dealing right now with the fallout of the Hindenburg report, not to conduct the roving inquiry. One of the issues in the Hindenburg report is the non-compliance with the MPS norms has some bearing. Prashant Bhushan has also said, on the other hand, that the issues covered under 2016 investigation should also be placed by SEBI on record. But remember, SEBI has constantly said that the investigations that were undertaken by SEBI in 2016, all those listed companies did not have Adani Group as part of the listed firms. So they have maintained those statements. Now, Solicitor General Tushar Mehta has pointed out that this court put some expert committee to monitor the investigation, and we cannot have everybody monitoring the investigation. Those are the comments coming in from the Solicitor General. Also, the CJI has said that but SEBI must submit information regarding the investigation, similar to what Prashant Bhushan has been asking constantly. So the CJI has asked the SEBI to actually give some kind of an information on whatever investigation they have done so far. Tell us what you have done, because we already gave you 2 months. So in the last 2 months, what has really SEBI done so far is what is being asked by the CJI. Solicitor General has asked for time till September. As of now, CGI has said that we cannot give indefinite extensions at this point in time. All right, so we will try and get you our reporter who's been tracking this news right at the court to give us more color as to what exactly has happened there and to give us more information. But meanwhile, Nilesh, you've been, of course, looking through the kind of news developments have taken place from January when the Hindenburg research report first came up, and after that, the whole you know how Adani Group really withdrew its FPI, the follow-on public offer as well. That was fully subscribed as well. But despite that, several of the issues have continuously bogged down the kind of movement in the stocks that we have seen. Although most of the stocks have recovered from their all-time low levels, but how do you really read up for the investors' point of view these developments from the courts, and what would you really say to them, those investors who've been holding some shares from before from the Adani Group basket, and those that may be looking for some kind of clarity, because even now Adani Group stocks are still much below their all-time high levels. So does it really give an opportunity with all this clarity emerging from the court proceedings that now is a time that one can actually take a fresh look at the Adani Group stocks?
Well, Sakshi, we have already witnessed the carnage in all Adani stocks post that research that came out from Hindenburg. And since after that, we have witnessed a gradual recovery in all Adani stocks. That is certainly giving a sense that the worst is behind, although it's too early to comment. But from technical standpoint, I think one should stick on the long side since we have already witnessed a big carnage. Now, as far as levels are concerned, a couple of counters that we are liking from the Adani Group. One is Adani Enterprise. Today as well, we are witnessing a smart recovery from the lower levels. On the lower side, the immediate and a major support which is placed around 1600, and if we just look at the immediate support that is coming around somewhere around 1750, so that should be the trading stop loss for the long position. I would still avoid taking any fresh long position in this particular space. But if somebody is even looking for a fresh entry, then keep a strict stop loss below 1750 on the higher side. Any decisive breakout above 2000 will open further upside towards 2200 to 2400 on immediate basis. Another Adani stock that we are liking is Adani Port at current level. Keeping stop loss below 650, this particular counter can be bought for the upside target of 720 to 750. Keeping in mind that the volatility may persist, keep a strict stop loss, and those who are already holding the long position can stay put.
Okay. Nilesh, any of the group stocks where you would like investors to completely avoid, where the technical structures are completely weak despite this kind of a recovery?
Right. So I was coming on that particular point. So a couple of counters that we are not liking at all, that is Adani Total Gas, and the other one is Adani Transmission. So if you look at the overall structure, we have seen lower top and lower top formation. We have already witnessed a lower circuit. And the fact is that these particular counters have not recovered at all and not sustaining as well. So looking at the overall structure of Adani Total Gas, I think any pullback could be a good opportunity to exit this particular position. Any move towards 800 to 900, I think that's a good exit point. On the lower side, it may test the levels of 650 to 600 going forward. The major undertone looks slightly on a negative side. We have a similar structure in Adani Transmission as well. And if you look at the major structure, it is forming a lower top and lower bottom formation. Recently, we saw a pullback towards 1100 to 1200 that got sold into. I think it is again heading towards its recent low that we saw in the month of March of near about 650. So going forward, another 100 point from current level may see a drop in Adani Transmission as well. So these are the two specific counter I think it is better to avoid. or I think any pullback may provide a good opportunity to exit the long position.
Got that, Nilesh. Nilesh, please hold on. Adani Transmission and Total Gas are complete avoid at this point in time. Remember, these were the two stocks that have also been removed in the MSCI index as well just recently. Hold on with us, Nilesh. I'll go across to my colleague Anisha Mathur now, who's been tracking this case from the time it began. Anisha, what were the key takeaways from the verdict today? Is it the final verdict? Has there been another date that some of the other hearings have been postponed to? Give us all the details.
Well, at this moment, the Supreme Court has not given any verdict right now. What they have said is that the status report, the interim report filed by the expert committee has to be shared with the petitioners. The SEBI has been given additional time till 14th of August. Now, the Supreme Court has asked for a status report from SEBI on exactly what has happened with the investigation that has been conducted so far. Remember, SEBI had asked for 6 months more time. The court has noted today that we've already given you 2 months, and now we are now giving you 3 months extension of time. But you need to give us a status report on what has happened, kind of investigation has been conducted. What is also important to note is that the court has clearly noted that they may give further extension if required, depending on what the SEBI report finally says. But the expert committee report, the interim report that had been submitted just a few days ago, will be considered now by the court on July 11th. But in the meantime, the report will also be shared with the petitioners, and they will be allowed to give their comments on what the expert committee has said. So at this moment, the SEBI is trying to say that this is a very complicated investigation, that they need more time because there are several other things that have to be considered. The court at this moment not making any observations whatsoever about the Adani Group or the investigation as such. They're saying that we want to know what exactly has happened, even as the petitioners had raised allegations that the SEBI is trying to hide what is happening with the Adani Group. And this is an allegation that the petitioners have raised again and again, that there seems to be deliberate shielding of the Adani Group by the government agencies at this stage, because even though there was a reply tabled in Parliament in 2021 that Adani Group companies were under investigation in 2016 and in 2020, the SEBI at this moment, through the Solicitor General and in their affidavits, taking the stand that the 2016 investigation had nothing to do with any Adani Group companies. Back to you.
Anisha, just one more point I wanted to understand from you. Has there been any comment from the Supreme Court, the CJI, on the findings of the expert panel, the six-member committee? They had submitted a report in a sealed cover the last time that we had spoken to you about. What are the updates from that? Has the Supreme Court really talked about anything on that? Has there been any word as to what exactly the findings have been about?
Well, no, at this point, the court has said that we are going to take some time to see the report. We'll go through the report. But what they've made clear is that we don't want a roving inquiry. We are dealing with the fallout of the Hindenburg report at this particular point. And I'm quoting the Chief Justice here, the expert committee has submitted a report bearing in the mind the timeline given in the order earlier. In order to reflect on the report, the proceedings will now be listed on the 11th of July. And the expert committee is requested to continue to assist the court. They may hold further deliberations in the meantime, and they could be, the expert committee could also take up any further actions or aspects suggested by this court once the court takes up the report and considers the proceedings. Now, this is the only comment that has been made by the Supreme Court right now. And I'm also being joined by Advocate Vishal Tiwari. If you can give me a few more seconds. Advocate Vishal Tiwari, who's the petitioner in the case, is here with us. Sir, court has simply given an extension of time to SEBI, and they've said they'll consider the expert committee report. How do you see today's proceeding?
See, court has given them only 3 months time till 14th of August, and court have also directed the SEBI that it shall submit its status report, that up to what extent they have investigated till now. And expert committee has submitted its report. Its copy will be made available to us. And court has further directed the expert committee that it shall continue to assess the court, and elaborately it shall also further take the appropriate steps. And SEBI is also directed to assist the expert committee.
Sir, just wanted to clarify. We were hearing the matter, of course, we were in the court hearing, but the bench has also said that we don't want a roving inquiry. Where is the question now about what is SEBI doing?
I have understood. See, in my petition, there was a prayer that an expert committee shall be constituted, and on that petition, court said that yes, we want that how we can strengthen the SEBI regulatory authority and what sort of other measures we shall bring to strengthen the share market. On that, court has said that already committee we have constituted and we are focused upon the Hindenburg report, and there is no need of roving inquiry because by some other person it was said that some ED or CBI. So court said no, we are not on the question of investigation by ED or CBI. We are just on the question of the share market price, and we are on the question that how we can save the money of the investors in future in this share market. So court has taken a positive attitude and we are welcoming this thing.
Sir, one more question. The Solicitor General has said that the 2016 inquiry and the 2020 inquiry were not related to the Adani Group companies. But the affidavit that you and other petitioners had submitted had said that the minister in the reply table before Parliament had said that in 2016, when the GDR issue was being considered, that funds which have invested in the Adani Group companies were also under investigation. Has the court or anyone else said anything about this during the hearing?
See, court has asked them to file a status report whether there was such kind of issue earlier. And as SEBI's reply say that no, they were not investigating earlier either in 2016 or 2020 on this particular issue of the so-and-so company, Adani company. So court has clearly asked them that whether you have some kind of regulatory mechanism and you shall file some kind of a status report so that it could be treated as a concrete finding to grant you further more extension. But till today, court has said only extension we are giving you till 14th of August and you shall submit a status report.
But clearly the court has said that if there is further in a report, depending on what is actually said in that report by the SEBI, they could grant further time, even though the chief made it very clear we are not giving you indefinite extension.
The court has said that if there will be some kind of new thing coming in future, then we may consider. But till today, only time given is 14th of August, and we don't think that in future also some further time may be given because it will lead to a prolonged investigation and that will benefit the entities which are under the umbrella of investigation to manipulate in their accounts.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Tiwari. So you just heard from one of the petitioners in the case, Advocate Vishal Tiwari, who's laid down exactly what has happened in the court before us, and we've also been talking about what was there in the hearing before the court. Back to you.
Absolutely. Thanks a lot, Anisha, for getting us that exclusive chat right after the hearing and the proceedings as well. So 2 and 3 things which are very, very clear at this point in time. The Supreme Court has given 3 months extension to SEBI to complete the probe. Remember, earlier 2 months were given to SEBI. SEBI had asked for 6 months. For now, only 3 months of an extension has been given. No comments from the Supreme Court on the findings of the report that have been submitted by the 6-member committee. However, they have been directed to continue to assess in the matter going forward as well. And SEBI has been directed to continue to support this 6-member expert committee as well. Meanwhile, the petitioners have been constantly asking that why doesn't SEBI really talk about what have they investigated so far in the Adani Group companies from 2016. But the Solicitor General has said that the two matters are completely different. What they have been investigating is not related to either Adani Group of firms or the Hindenburg case at all. At this point in time, 14th of August is still the time that has been given to SEBI to submit their report. In the meanwhile, the matter will be continuing to look at what kind of findings do come about. I think I did hear Anisha talk about a date in July. Anisha, if you're still with us, can you clarify what is the date in July when? All right. So we will get back to you on that and see, if there has been any mention of a date in July when the matter can also be taken up yet again. For now, the Adani Group stocks, in fact, reacting positively to the news. 1% up for Adani Green, Adani Enterprises up in trade as well. Adani Ports has reacted positively to this news flow. And remember, this is when the markets have actually slipped about 522 points on the Sensex, 144 points of a decline on the Nifty as well. So the market sentiment overall is weak, but you can actually see most of the Adani Group stocks really show up that spike as far as the current comments from the Supreme Court have come out. Nilesh, if you're still with us, please help us understand, your views on how should the investors really look forward, because the matter is not complete yet. We will still wait for 3 more months for SEBI to really come out with any more comments. Meanwhile, the Adani Group is constantly looking at how they can raise more funds and again gain investors' confidence. They are also posting decent earnings in Q4. We did see fundamentally the companies performing better. So it's very difficult for the investors to really look at these kind of developments that happen on the legislative level. And on the other side, we are looking at how fundamentally and technically these stocks are performing as well. What is the best way that you would advise investors to approach the stocks now?
Well, Sakshi, see, this court case has been going on since past couple of months, and these news flows keep on coming. I think investors and traders should avoid, tracking these news flows. One needs to keep a track on levels. As I mentioned, as far as Adani Port is concerned, there are crucial support and crucial resistance zone that needs to be keep on radar. And till the time we don't see any concrete judgment from the court, I think this sort of volatility is likely to remain high in all Adani Group stocks. As we mentioned, Adani Transmission, Adani Total Gas, these are the two specific counters we are not liking at all. In fact, just to give you our disclaimer, we don't have any coverage of any of the Adani counters.
Sure.
But on technical front, yes, we like Adani Port. I think till the time it is trading well above 650, I think the structure looks slightly on a positive side and can be traded for the upside target of 700 to 750. And Adani Enterprise is another counter which is looking slightly on a consolidation mode, but the structure looks slightly on a positive side for 2000 to 2200 sort of target on the higher side. Stop loss should be placed below 1650. So these two counters looking slightly on a positive side. And we have already highlighted a couple of counters which are not looking at all positive. So traders and investors, those who are holding since a long time, I think stay put with keeping a strict stop loss. Any further decline below the support level could be a good trigger to exit the long position.
Got that. Well, thank you so much, Nilesh, for being with us on the show and discussing with us various sectors, stocks, as well as the Adani Group breaking news that has come about and how should investors be approaching these stocks as well. Well, definitely some relief for SEBI in this case, in the plea that has been heard by the Supreme Court today. 3 months extension given to do the probe. But at this point in time, we will still continue to await what developments really take place, because nothing is clear as of now. Neither the findings of the expert committee's report, nor has SEBI really come out with any kind of update on the investigations that they've carried on till now. The Supreme Court has also not made any comments on Adani Group and the Adani Hindenburg case, because they have not got any clear, kind of reports from either of the parties on the petitioner's demands as well as we speak. So the matter continues to be under the watch list going forward from here as well. But interim relief, and that is what you're looking at, how the Adani Group stocks are reacting positively to it. Right now, 0.8% of a decline for the Nifty and the Sensex. They're drifting lower towards the day's lowest point as we speak as well. But we'll continue to watch out for as to how the markets really proceed from here and what's the best way that you can also approach your own investments in equities as of now. Until then, thanks for tuning in for now.
It's one of the worst nightmares of a mobile phone owner, misplacing or having your handset stolen. Not just because it cost you tens of thousands of rupees, but because it was a virtual repository of passwords or photos